And money is on Blake Lively being wrong. No matter what you do in life, you never, ever, ever go full Amber Heard.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
Blackmail, extortion, boycotting, or maybe even a love triangle? The Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni case just took a whole nother turn, and the newest proof against Blake has gotta make you ask, can she be facing criminal charges?
It is like a Hollywood true crime. We're getting pieces coming out.
Right.
Every lawsuit and every complaint that are filling us in on what actually happened. And that's what I think myself and so many people are invested in. I didn't know who this Justin Baldoni guy was. no offense, didn't really care.
Right.
But the more I'm learning about what Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds seemingly did, they're trying to cover up a crime. That's what I really do think is happening here.
And then there's Taylor Swift. Again, we all already know that she's been dragged into the whole mess, but more and more evidence shows that she may have had her fingers in the pie right from the start, and that, yes, she is just as guilty as Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. And speaking of Ryan, the newest evidence also has to make you wonder, is Ryan simply defending his wife in her allegations against Justin? Or has he been on a personal warpath to destroy Justin because there was actually a romance brewing between Blake and Justin?
To your point about the alleged, sex tension between these two, if you look at the full complaint, there are texts between them that go on and on about their connection and how he really likes her. He loves this version of her, but he loves the other version of her too, at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm telling you, it's felt flirty to me.
I'm sure you've heard the theory before, but there are now actual text messages, behind the scenes testimonies, and pretty cringe interviews that all hint at the same thing. Blake and Justin had a thing going and Ryan got jealous. And if we look at the timeline of how all the events unfolded, then this theory starts to look pretty believable.
We now all agree that the moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to high treason.
As Blake and Justin's case rages on, more and more evidence is being dropped, and each time it's looking worse and worse for Blake. But aside from all the receipts shared by Justin's lawyer, there's also more and more damaging evidence coming out of back channels, most of which from people who had the inside scoop of what really went down behind the scenes on the It Ends With Us set. Thanks to Candace Owens, who has made it her personal mission to dig everything up and expose the truth, it's now looking like Blake and Ryan had already concocted a master plan to destroy Justin and to take over his film long before Blake even filed her lawsuit and long before the breaking New York Times report that shattered Justin Baldoni's reputation. But before we can get into why there's this idea that Blake could be facing criminal charges, we have to take a closer look at Taylor Swift and how she fits into everything, because context is key in this plot twist, and Taylor seems to have been a big part of it right from the start. As we already know, Justin claims that Blake and Ryan used Taylor Swift to manipulate him into accepting some script rewrites that Blake and Ryan had made to Justin's script. Because remember, Justin was actually writer, producer, and director on the film. He even owned the rights to the book on which the film was based. Y'all remember that Blake even called herself the Great Khaleesi from the Game of Thrones, and she called Ryan and Taylor her two dragons, all to bully Justin into submitting. Taylor disses Blake. Well, apparently that whole thing didn't sit well with Taylor, because it wasn't long before we saw this headline appearing in the Daily Mail. Exclusive: Taylor Swift taking a step back from Blake Lively as dramatic legal battle with Justin Baldoni threatens their decade-long friendship. So you might be thinking, it's just a gossip piece. Who cares? But you'd be wrong. This article has Taylor written all over it, and if it's true that Taylor herself is behind it, then that's a big deal. And here's why I say Taylor may have actually published the article herself. We now know this thanks to Candace, who had this bombshell to share.
Let me tell you something that is well known in Hollywood is that Taylor Swift has plugs, especially at the Daily Mail, when she wants to get a narrative out. The person that works for her is this woman named Tree, and Tree is allegedly vicious. She will protect Taylor Swift's reputation by any means necessary, and they fold. Okay, the editors, the writers, journalists, when she says put something in the mail, it gets done. And I'm not saying that part allegedly. That is a fickety fact.
So clearly Taylor herself might be trying to wash her hands of this whole drama, and there were some interesting things said in the article. For instance, that Taylor felt used by Blake and that she felt like a pet or a possession. Blake's "I'm Khaleesi and like her, I happen to have dragons" text to Justin was uncool and unnecessary because she was essentially used as an intimidation tactic. She was referred to as some kind of pet or possession. But was Taylor really used to intimidate Justin? Because here's another good point. In that same article, it also says this: Taylor shouldn't even be involved in this at all. She was only going over to visit Blake and Ryan with the understanding that the meeting would be over. So from the article, Taylor was apparently never meant to be a part of the meeting between Blake and Ryan and Justin. That's all fair and well and good, but here's the question. If she wasn't meant to be part of the meeting, why didn't she just wait for the meeting to finish? Because now it's kind of looking like she inserted herself in the meeting anyway.
Peer pressured him to make a change that he didn't want to make to his movie. So her follow-up text, which reads like a psycho, obviously I'm Khaleesi, these are my dragons, she said it because you did something, okay? He clearly texted and said you didn't have to do that.
But here's where things get really interesting and a bit creepy. Because according to Candace Owens, Taylor Swift may have had a hand in another article. You know, that article that destroyed Justin Baldoni? New York Times article. This took some clever investigation, but when internet detectives came across this next clip, they all had an aha moment. See this guy saying sleep tight to Taylor? Well, that guy is none other than Ronan Farrow, who surprisingly enough, the Daily Mail had also previously reported that he and Taylor are good friends. Taylor Swift's surprising new friendship with liberal journalist Ronan Farrow revealed. And why is this important? Because Ronan Farrow can probably be considered as the godfather of the Me Too movement. He was the guy who exposed Harvey Weinstein, and according to Candace, he's also worked for the New York Times, the same magazine who broke the news on Blake Lively alleging that Justin Baldoni's her. And as per Candace Owens, well, she doesn't believe that Blake and Ryan have enough star power to pull strings at the New York Times. But guess who does? Yep, Taylor Swift.
You will recall that I kept saying that someone like Blake Lively, this was my gut instinct, she could not have had the star power to get the New York Times to put their entire professional reputation on the line to smear someone like Justin Baldoni. They are just not in that camp of celebrities. Blake Lively cannot get Pulitzer Prize winning New York Times journalists to smear someone like Justin Baldoni. That was why I was drawn to Taylor Swift as a character.
And if all this is true, then this next bit of information is all the more crazy. And that is the date which this video clip was taken, early November 2024, a month before the New York Times article was published. So what internet detectives and even Candace Owens are asking is this: did Taylor Swift collude with Blake and Ryan to run the New York Times piece and to discredit Justin Baldoni and to steal his film away from him? Because this next bit of evidence will really get you questioning Taylor's innocence. But more importantly, it may get you thinking, should Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds go to jail? The Reddit post. Somehow this one slipped through the cracks and everyone missed it, but it's a Reddit post that was posted 6 months ago, and this is important. 6 months ago. This is long before the New York Times piece came out, and this just might be the proof that Blake did some shady, illegal, criminal stuff. Because everything that was said in this post was said before it all became a public fiasco, so for sure, this person knew exactly what was going on.
The date on this post is August 12th, okay? So just to give you the timeline, it ends with us. World premiere was August 6th. That's when they had the red carpet premiere. Justin Baldoni gets put into the basement. August 9th is when you, me, if we wanted to, could go see it in theaters. This person on August 12th decides to write a whole long post because they're overcome with emotion and they don't know where to drop it. And that's what Reddit's for, right? You can't say it to people that you know, so you just drop it on the platform. And look what this person says. This is amazing.
So yeah, let's look at that post. Supposedly, Blake felt that Justin made her uncomfortable on set. One instance in particular, they said that Justin told Blake she looked sexy in what she was wearing on set. I don't know the context around it. We now know that this is true, and Justin has even proven that Blake's claims were misleading. So on to the next point. Apparently, Justin wasn't happy with the original editor's cut of the movie, so he hired his own team to do his version of the movie. Blake wanted to do her own version of the movie as a result, but Sony said no. We already know that all of this happened and it has since been made public, but this next point is important because remember, this post was before all the drama became public knowledge. Listen, Blake goes to Sony and threatens to go to the New York Times with a story that says Justin was her on set if they don't let her have her own version. Sony freaks out and says, okay, whatever you want. Again, I have to stress this post was before Blake's lawsuit and before it all became a public fiasco, so this post is right on the money. But here's where everything takes a dramatic twist. So according to the post, Blake threatened and basically blackmailed Sony, saying that she will go to the New York Times with a story that says Justin was her on set if they don't let her have her own version. And we now also know that yes, indeed, Sony gave in to her demands. Blake's name is all over the film, and they ended up using her cut of the film after she seemingly blackmailed and extorted them. But then, guess what happens? Blake went to the New York Times with her story anyway, even after her demands were met. Why? I don't know about you, but it also sounds a bit criminal to me, don't you think? And the post gets almost worse. More revelations. Let's read the rest of the post and then go through the facts. The post continues. Justin is banned from the Sony lot. I don't think forever, just for the run of the movie, but I could be wrong. Blake hires T Swift's music video editors to do her version while she's filming in Italy for something. Blake has a friends and family screening to get thoughts with lots of A-listers, Ben Affleck, Bradley Cooper, I think, etc., etc. Everyone is like, huh? This movie makes no fucking sense. Blake realizes she needs to hire an experienced film editor to fix it. Blake uses a T Swift song in the movie that the studio loves having in there. T Swift finds out that the original composer for the movie is someone she worked with in the past that was mean to her, and she says it's either me or him. Sony fires that composer to keep the T Swift song. As we have since learned, all these facts seem to be true. I just find it so incredibly disturbing that Taylor Swift had been so deeply involved right from the start, even getting music producers fired. And yes, it appears that she really did, and they ended up using Deadpool's composer.
Was there a composer before that or did they just one day wake up and say, oh, you know what we need? A score. Call that guy who's doing my husband's movie. Maybe he has time. I mean, how do you end up getting a call with we're in that kind of a pinch, unless I kind of guessed correctly?
Yeah, I think probably it was a scenario of a last second replacement.
Final plot twist. And for those of you still wondering about that rumor on Justin and Blake's supposed romance that sent Ryan into a jealous fit, don't worry, I got you covered, and trust me, it's juicy. So once again, we can thank Candace Owens for putting the whole puzzle together.
Yeah, I felt that Ryan was kicking up some dust because he didn't want to leave Blake Lively alone with Justin Baldoni because he's away in the UK. And then I was positing that perhaps when he got home, he was either reading her text messages, reading through the dailies, reading through the script, and he just decided, okay, you know what? This entire production needs to be halted. I don't trust my wife.
So while Blake was filming It Ends With Us with Justin, Ryan was away filming Deadpool vs. Wolverine. So the theory goes that Blake and Justin got a bit too close and flirty for Ryan's liking, and there are countless texts between Blake and Justin that support this theory. So while some think Blake tried to destroy Justin because she wanted to take over the film, others think that Ryan is the real villain who wants to destroy Justin out of jealousy. And there are some hints that this can be true. For instance, some scenes from Deadpool where it clearly seems that Ryan is mocking Justin Baldoni. For instance, the comment about Lady Pool just having a baby. Well, yeah, in real life, Blake Lively just had a baby and she accused Justin Baldoni of fat-shaming her, which Justin actually disproved with cold hard evidence from their text messages.
Sorry about that. But in here, everybody calls me Nice Pool. Who are you? Oh, I'm Deadpool. And I guess you're Deadpool too. She just had a baby too, and can't even tell.
And like in the next clip, just hear the comments about his dog shopping for a new papa, almost as if likening it to Blake shopping for a new husband.
It's okay. I identify as a feminist. And I guess you've already met Mary Poppins, aka Dogpool, and G-Spot, and she'll let you know it. Over my dead body. You're fun. And she starts shopping for a new papa. Why are you so nice? It costs nothing to be kind.
That's why we think in this next interview he also took a swipe at Blake and Justin's rumored romance. Just watch, but be warned, it's pretty cringe given what we now know.
Not every day the husband gets to interview his wife's love interest in a film. It's kind of crazy.
I don't remember seeing this on the schedule.
Dive in, shall we?
Well, it's not every day the mother-in-law of the leading lady gets to interview the love interest, and the man trying to replace my sweet little gummy bear, Ryan.
No.
It's not every day a guy gets to interview the love interest of his best friend's wife and the guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband.
And if for any reason you think Ryan won't stoop so low as to make fun of someone else in his movies, then just listen to what TJ Miller, his Deadpool co-star, has to say, because Ryan did the exact same thing to him.
We had a really weird moment on Deadpool where he said, let's do one more take. And everyone was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then as the character, he was like horrifically mean to me, but to me.
Cathartic.
But as if I'm Weasel.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So he was like, you know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you just, you do just enough exposition that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie.
So he's riffing.
Ouch, that's gotta sting. And I'm not the only one who thinks that, y'all. Fans are sticking up for Justin and starting to diss Blake and Ryan, like mad. Ryan and Blake are both bullies. They insult people using jokes to get away with it. I find it very interesting that he said after Ryan was weird with him, the whole crew started acting weird. Same thing happened with It Ends With Us. The whole cast got manipulated into acting weird and indifferent towards Justin. Ryan and Blake are both manipulators. But yeah, what do you think? Was there maybe a little spark between Blake and Justin that Ryan wanted to put out and then went a bit overboard? Is Taylor Swift just as guilty in all of this? But most importantly, can Blake's alleged actions be seen as borderline criminal? Let us know what you think, and as always, stay tuned and be sure to check out our other videos where we take an in-depth dive into the lives of your favorite celebs.